Hello everybody, this is Joseph Hacker. Sorry for the late post. Had to work on Valentine's Day, and so I had to make it up to my wife yesterday. So, but here we go. So today we're talking about the two potential fears that I face in establishing new boundaries and two steps that I can take to begin working through those fears. And so the first step I chose was the fear of being selfish. I like what Henry Cloud says in his video, The Most Difficult Boundary You Set. He says, it's not selfish to say no, it's selfish to never say yes. And I think that's very true, that we can kind of I can get myself kind of overstretched when I kind of promise people too much, and that can become very burdensome, not just on me, but on my family, my relationship with my wife, my kids. So some of the things that I can do is allow some time to think through the conflicts to determine if I'm being selfish. And another way is to get some feedback or some input from either some mentors or maybe some godly men that I'm close with, either from my men's study group or just other men from church. But another fear in establishing boundaries that I selected is a fear of being unloving. We kind of talked about this, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, that it's kind of a standard fear for Christians across the board, is that we don't want to come across as unloving. We're supposed to be loving other people, as God loves us and gives His love to us to love other people. So when we set those boundaries, it's almost like I'm saying, I don't love you. So setting boundaries does not mean that we are unloving. Our love is constant, but we must have those boundaries in place to be able to say no to things that are not good for us. And one of the ways that I can do that is to tell the other person that while I do love them, there are limits to what I'm willing to do for them. I'm not going to bend over backwards to hurt myself, my relationships, my time, my resources. And again, it goes back to not overstretching, overburdening myself. And another thing I can do is again to think through and process what are my limits with other people concerning my time, my resources, and my abilities. And that's something that I can process myself, and I can talk about with my wife and with my family to help establish those boundaries. What are we willing to do for others? What can we give to others without risking the potential to damage ourselves? So that is it. Those are my two boundaries. Or fear of establishing boundaries, and the two ways that I can work through that. So thank you guys so much. It's been a great class.